Hi, I am going to show you guys how to make the heart, and I could not get my camera to set up right, but I am doing the heart shape of tulip wreath. You see I already pre-cut most of the tulips. So you're gonna need your heart shape frame. You could get from the Dollar Tree. Uh, I normally do 10 bushes of tulips, but I'm going to try to see if I can do it with just 8. I It depends on how full you want it, and that's how you can determine how many bushes of tulips that you need. So this is 8. Well, this is 7. Yeah, of course you need your glue gun, and you need to make sure you have glue sticks available for you. And you're going to need a nice size roll of ribbon. This is 2.5 inches by 75 yards. I'll suggest the 2.5 inches just because when you see how we start to wrap it, you can see. You would preferably use the color of the tulip that you want to use, but I noticed the last one that I did, you could not see through the flower to see that the color was this. It's just a matter of how uniform you want it. So if you're selling it or whatever, you want it to look really nice on the back. You may want to do the exact same color ribbon of the tulip. And of course, to cut your tulips, you're gonna need this. I'm gonna leave that right there for right now. And I'm gonna cut the end of my rope, so you might want some scissors near you. I somehow split the roll. So first I start off, and of course I pre-cut. I try to cut all of my bushes of tulips in one sitting, so I just wanted to show you. So this is one, and I'm doing a blue, and my lighting might be off, so that is orange, different shades of orange. So when I cut these, I got one that don't have anything on there, see? When I cut these, I normally stagger the length of how I cut these. So I don't know if you can see. So I'll do some up and a little further down, just because when you lay them, it's almost better to have different lengths so you can arrange the tulips kind of in a layer when you're doing it. All right, so we have that. Once I do that, I normally just go crazy and just mix all my tulips up. I still end up grabbing them in like a sequence, so one won't have more than the other. What you can do, if you have the time or you wanted to, you could always take one of these off and exchange it, put blue so that you can have this, like it matched. So like I said, if you want it, you can go through each one of yours so that it could be really mixed up in color when you lay them. So you can always do that and put it all on one. But I don't know if you have the time to really sit and do that. So I did do one. All right. Everyone's been asking, are you just wrapping the wire with ribbon? No. So to start, and I'm going to try to move this over so you can see it. So to start, I normally start at one end. Well, let's see. I actually found it better to kind of start up here. So what I do is take the ribbon, flip it over. Oops. Got my wires all mixed up. Sorry, you guys. I'm working in a little space because My little craft area is a mess. Let's see. Okay, let's try this again. So I take the ribbon and I start at the top of the heart frame, and I'll tell you why. You'll see why it's probably easier to start up top. So hopefully you can see me. So I just put a little glue on the wire. Let's see. And I started like this. So that's all I did. I glued it to the back. Can you see? And then I start to wrap. So let's flip this. So I wrap the first half, go around once, and if you could guess how much of the ribbon you're gonna need, it's almost better to just tear it all off. And you can still do that because when you're wrapping, it doesn't matter. So here's one, and I normally do 2 times when I first start. I'm probably just gonna cut my ribbon because I'm not having much fun with this. And I wanted to really show you all. So I thought I bought a satin ribbon, but this is some type of paper ribbon. I don't know. I don't really like working with it, but I bought a lot of it. And I should have taken it back. So I wrapped it twice. And then I stopped. Because this is the frame. I can be a perfectionist when it comes to this sometimes. Can you see that? I will glue down this first part so when I start, it can lay right. So I'm just gonna put a little dab of glue right there and pull it tight so it can wrap all the way around the ring. And like I said, I'll pull it through. Here's the next part that can be a little tricky. And I'm actually thinking maybe I can use a rubber band or something to hold them in place instead of going crazy with the glue. So I take usually 6 to 7 of these. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And let's do 7 because this is where you're going to have the center of the heart dip down. So I hope you can see me. So I take it like this. I just gather them all together in a bunch. See, I just have them in a bunch. And I let them kind of spread. And that's why I said to stagger the way that you cut your tulips so that you can have that effect. So I take the first one and I just lay them, like, and I want to see, because remember this is where your heart is going to dip in and show. So I make sure I bunch. It is not always an exact thing because you may, I'm gonna flip it because I want to make sure. Sorry, you guys. Hold on. Maybe I should find another space to work with. Hold on 1 second. One of these fell off, so let's find it. That's the other thing with these tulips. They may not stay all in one place once on the stem. So you may want to go, when you're finished, kind of go and yank on it, pull, not yank, but pull on it a little bit so that you can make sure that it's on there. If it isn't, then what you can do is just put a little dab of glue on to, so I have it in my hand like this, kind of stand out because I wanted to lay like that. Let's see. Find another orange since that one came off. So I normally take 2 or 3 of the brighter color, the richer color, I should say, and I in the bunch. So this was 7, right? 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 7. So I take more of the less dominant color, and then fewer of the richer color. So once I have that like that, I go and I glue. My glue gun is acting crazy. I glue down, put glue down first onto the ribbon I already wrapped. Having a hard time holding this in my hand. I had surgery on my right hand, and it's still not as strong as I would like it to be. So I put it on sort of in a slant. I will show you, and I hold it just a little bit to get some of it on there, attached to it. I know you probably can't see from my angle. And that's where I said, maybe I should try it with a rubber band or something to hold them. Then I go back and I glue. Let me see. I glue them again. I turn around. Oh, I burnt myself. Turn this around so that you can see. They're down. And then I take the ribbon and I wrap again. My video is not great. I wrap again, and I wrap them tight around. Again. So I glue down on it, put the stems down, then I glue, and I wrap twice. So I wrap around the bottom of the stem, and then I wrap again to sort of give me another place to lay my next ones. I try to do them in all directions, so I always start going one way. So I wrap twice, pull it through, and then I'll start with the next one. See? Then I'll take my next ones, the next tulip bunch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Again, so I have these. So remember, this is where the center of your heart is going to dip in. So you want them to spread out like that. Now remember, you're going around the curve of the heart. So you want it to make that formation. So you will pull most of those back. This is sort of hard to do on video to show you. So you may find that you may need to go 3 times. See, my bed of ribbon is not as big. But see, that's going to spread. So again, you're going to kind of overlap, if you can see that. Overlap the next ones. And if you don't want them as full as this, of course, you could pull back some. Or you could always do fewer tulips at one point. See, and see all the oranges, orange color, sorry, it's kind of different together. So I'm going to make sure I rearrange this. And again, this is where, see how the longer way, so you could pull that down some so it won't sit as high as the other ones. So again, I'm just gluing the bed of it. Sorry. of that ribbon. Taking them and I place them down. Hold for a second. If I knew it were rubber bands, or I would try it. So again, after I do that, I'm going to glue on top of the stem. It may be a better way, but this is kind of work for me. And I'm going to wrap the ribbon again around the stems. Wrap again. And again, twice. Twice. All right. So this is, let's see if we move it up some. So the start of your heart. I'm sorry, y'all. Let's see. Can you see the start of the heart? Maybe I should do it live. That way you guys can tell me if you can see it and if it makes sense or whatever. So that is that. Again, I wrapped it twice. I get my bunches. 2, 3. All of mine are like falling off today. 3, 4, 5, 6. I switch up from doing 6 together, stems together, to 7. Because at some points you don't want it as full, especially when you get right to the center part. So I'm still gonna do 7 right here though, so that my heart curves up. All right. Also, what I did notice, if you could pay attention to how you lay your bunches together, because the little leaves, you don't want them backwards. See, that'll be backwards. When I lay it, it'll be backwards. So if you could sort of remember to turn them all in the same direction, so you can see all the greenery come through your tulip. All right, so I have my 7. I'm gonna come down just a little bit. See, this is where I probably, can you see this? Should have went 3, wrapped around 3 times. So let's do that. Just because we want it to lay properly. And I decided to do this because so many people were asking, how do you do it? And I'm trying to type it down how I exactly do it. And it was almost an impossible task to explain. So I went 3 times. Again, it's better to already have your tulips in your hand before you put your glue down, because you know, hot glue goes fast. It dries pretty fast. All right, so I have my bunch of 7. Again, I am just putting glue down. And I'm going to lay this on top. Keeping in mind you're at the top of your heart, so you want to make sure your length. I'm going to take this and move it up because I see. Oh, let's go back. If it's not making a complete heart shape when you finish, you can always go in and add. tulips, to make it fuller in one section, to make it slim it down. You can always take off some of them. And I see where I have like a little gap right here, and I should have probably went up a little more on some of these tulips. So I'll play around with it when I finish it. So again, you have this. You're going to glue on top of the stems. And yeah, I'm using glue like crazy. And I am going to wrap. So you're putting the glue down and you're wrapping. So your stems are pretty secure once you do that. Wrap 2 times. See how this is kind of bubbled out? This is where I would glue because it's starting to go in a different direction. You may want to put a dab of glue to make it do what you want it to do, to go where you want it to go. I just put a little dab of glue right there, and I'm gonna wrap my second time around. So this is it so far. I'm going to show you what the back looks like. Can you see the back part? Let's see. Oh, I'm going forward. That's what the back looks like so far. This is the start of your heart. That is your center part. And here you go. I'll finish up and I'll come back when I get to the parts that's going to be tricky, which is when you get to the other side of the heart. Okay, so I'm all the way around, back to where I started, and this is the part we want to make sure stays going to a point to the center so you could keep your heart shape. So this can be a little tricky. So I don't know if you can see. Let's see. So that's okay. That might be better. So this is where I started, and this is the end part. So usually I can't take the entire bunch and lay it, because you don't need as many to fill, because you made this side so full in the beginning. And also I realized, so I started with 7 in each bunch over here. So the first 2 was 7. By the time I got to this side, I went down to only doing 6 each, because I want to make sure that I keep my center open to make sure you can see the heart shape. So 7, 7, and then I did 6 all the way around until I got to this, back to this side, which matches the original side that I started. Is this my right? Yeah, my right, your left. And I did 7 again right at the curve of the heart. So again, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I only have 6 right here, and I don't think that I would need the 7, because you want to make sure it dips down into the curve to the point of the heart. So I will usually just lay this. Let's kind of move this over. I will lay this to see if I can sort of lay it down. This, like I said, this is where it can get tricky, because you want to make sure you keep that shape of a heart. So right there, and I may need more because I don't want the center part to be cluttered. So it actually fits perfect in that part. I know you can't see the whole thing. So I'll wrap this, I'll lay it like this, but here you are going to make sure you stagger these down. So I won't lay 6 at a time. Let's just do some of them. So maybe I'll start with 3 of them, and I will do my normal glue. Let me turn my leaves to make sure. So again, my trusty glue gun, all my glue. You are going to use plenty of glue using this. So again, I'm gluing that down. I am going to lay this so that it comes to the center point. This glue gun is super hot. The glue, I have so many burns on my hand. Okay, so I put 3 down. I'm gonna take the other ones. And I am going to lay those in there. Also, you may have to lift up the initial tulips that you laid because you want to go, you're gonna have the stems of these sort of laying in between. Let's see, can you see? Let me turn it around. Can't get a good angle. I may have to move my camera. And when you get to this point, you may not be able to wrap again with the ribbon. You know what I noticed too? That if I get the little small stem on the tulip, because my glue gun is on hot, it's melting it. So, okay, let's lay this part down. And if you can't see me, I just wanted to show you when you got to the top. I'm gluing again on top of those. Let's see if I come back around. I am going to the point in the center of the heart. When I lay these, I'm not laying them straight. This is where I want to make sure that I keep the shape of the heart. And even if you can't at this point keep the shape and this is bigger, you could always pull tulips off. It's enough greenery on here that you can hide the fact that a tulip, one of the little tulips is missing. Okay, so I don't think, I got one piece stuck. I am going to glue on top of these so that I can try to wrap this with some of the ribbon I have left. So, you want to make sure you're not gluing down the initial tulips that you started with. That came off, but we could go back and put it back on. Tightly going around here. If I had enough of the ribbon left, I ended up just cutting some of the ribbon. Let's see. I wrapped around just once right here to get it tight. This is coming in. So, as I said, you may have to add a few more just to fill this in, and you're not gonna do a bunch Just kind of add it to make sure it's full. Let's see if I come in. Can you see a little better on how that is? So here's the back of it, and we're right at the very end. Let's see if I can get you guys a better view of how it looks. So I just have this one little piece to finish up. Okay, I have the very last pieces. So you know all of these are going this, all of it I started going from my right and I went backwards down. So all of the flowers are going. It looks like I started this way when you look at the wreath, but I actually started this way and added the flowers as I went. So I'm at this very end, and what I have to do a lot of times, so I have 4 more little bushes to see. So a lot of times I just take 1 or 2 at a time just to fill in this very little space in between. Let's see, so that's 1, and I'm just going to show you. Hopefully you all can see. That's 2. I'm just trying to keep it from being bare right there. Because these actually stretch over, go over this part. So you're not gonna really see all of that. So let me put another, and I'm just gonna push down further into this. So that will complete the shape of the tulip. So I'll go and a lot of times I have to try it first, unfortunately. So I'm just gonna put a little glue so it can start, so it can stick some. Oh, some more glue. I dropped my glue sticks. So I add a little glue right here on top of the ribbon, as far as down as I can go. And I will start to add my flowers back in. So I know 2 went here to complete it. And I'm going right underneath where I have the point of the tulips when I first started. And then I'm going to add this, and again, push this down just a little further to make sure that I keep the opening to the top of the heart. I would then glue this down to make sure it's down. And what the last few that I completed, I had enough ribbon on the end that I was able to wrap it and make my, actually make the little bow. So I'll go back. So I have a little piece left. I will wrap this little part, but I wanted to make the a bow to hang the very end up, to hang the wreath up. So I would probably have to add something in the back. So good thing this doesn't go all the way around, because I want a little opening so I can add something to hang this wreath up with. So I just took the very last piece that I had of the ribbon and went over that the last 3 that I just placed on here. All right. So what I do now, I always have to hang my wreaths up so that I can see picture of it. So this is the completed heart shape. I like to look at it, make sure my sides are as even as possible. One side isn't as full as the other. Got it. Maybe you guys can see it better laying down. Make sure I get all the glue strings that I have everywhere. And I will go around just like this to make, oops, wrong way. Make sure I am in my heart formation. So I'll go that